In 1975, an engineer at Kodak invented something that could have made them the most powerful tech company on Earth. A device that would one day sit in the pocket of every person on the planet. But instead of embracing it, Kodak's executives said 4 words that would eventually cost them everything. "That's cute, but don't tell anyone." They told him to hide it. And that decision triggered one of the most spectacular self-destructions in business history. This is the story of how Kodak invented the digital camera, then killed itself. To understand the tragedy, you have to remember what Kodak was. For over a century, Kodak didn't just sell cameras. It owned moments. Birthdays, weddings, vacations. They were all Kodak moments. The company controlled 90% of the film market and 85% of camera sales in the US. It was the Apple, Google, and Disney of its time, all rolled into one. Life was literally documented on Kodak. And the business model was genius. Sell cameras cheap, make a fortune on film, paper, and chemicals. It was a razor and blade model that printed money. So when a young engineer named Stephen Sasson walked into a meeting in 1975 with a wild prototype, you would think they would celebrate. Sasson's invention was the first digital camera. It used a lens from a movie camera, 16 batteries, and recorded a black and white image onto a digital cassette tape. The resolution was just 0.01 megapixels. It took 23 seconds to capture a single image. And you needed a special screen to view it. From a technical standpoint, it was primitive. But conceptually, it was a nuclear bomb under Kodak's entire empire. See, this device meant photography without film. No chemicals, no processing, no waiting. It was the beginning of the end of the analog world. And when Sasson presented it to Kodak's leadership, the response was not excitement. It was fear. One executive reportedly said, "That's cute, but don't tell anyone." The message was clear. Bury it. We make money from film. If this gets out, we destroy ourselves. This is a textbook case of what Harvard professor Clayton Christensen called the innovator's dilemma. Kodak was so profitable, so dominant, that the idea of sabotaging their own cash cow was unthinkable. They looked at digital and saw tiny profit margins, slow adoption, and immediate pain. What they didn't see, or refused to see, was that film was a finite business, and the world was about to change forever. By the 1990s, competitors did not have film revenue to protect. They poured billions into digital, and Kodak tried to have it both ways. They released digital cameras but marketed them as a way to print more pictures. They made photo CDs and picture kiosks, all designed to prop up the dying film business instead of truly embracing the new one. The irony is brutal. Kodak actually held key digital patents, years ahead of everyone. But they were terrified of their own technology. They spent decades trying to protect yesterday instead of building tomorrow. From 1996 to 2005, film sales collapsed. Kodak's profits evaporated. They scrambled, cutting tens of thousands of jobs, closing factories, desperately trying to pivot to printers and medical imaging. But it was too late. The world had moved on, and the company that defined photography for 100 years was now a footnote. In 2012, Kodak filed for bankruptcy. The company that employed 145,000 people at its peak was a shadow. And Stephen Sasson's original digital camera now sits in a museum, a relic of a future Kodak chose to ignore. Kodak's story is not just about cameras. It is a warning. It is about what happens when you let short-term profits blind you to long-term survival. When you become too afraid to cannibalize yourself, someone else will happily do it for you. Kodak did not fail because they missed the digital age. They failed because they saw it first, and they turned away. So the next time you snap a photo with your phone, remember the giant that invented the future but chose to protect its past. Thanks for watching. If this story struck a chord, hit like. subscribe, and let me know in the comments what company you think is making the same mistake right now.